One of the most important things you can do to support your brain, memory, and stave off cognitive decline is to support your cognitive reserve. So, what is cognitive reserve? How can you improve it? And we're also going to talk a little bit about some tips we can do to improve your memory. And spoiler alert, what you're doing now probably is not the right thing. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Debbie Smers, and I have a clinic in Markham, Ontario, and I am passionate about brain health. So what is cognitive reserve? Cognitive reserve is quite literally the way the brain thinks. So it's all of the different neurological pathways that you've created over your lifetime that allows your brain to think the way it does. That way, if for whatever reason, the pathway to go from A to B, perhaps there's damage in this straight one, then we don't see any symptoms to show you that there's damage because your brain's able to compensate and use some of these other methods. Have you ever wondered why some people can have a concussion and it doesn't seem to affect them as much as it might a counterpart? Or brain inflammation seems to affect some people more than others, even memory loss happening faster than others. Well, cognitive reserve does play a role very closely when it comes to dementia and how early you might display symptoms. So if we were going to say that dementia is inevitable for somebody, the higher the reserve is, the longer it is that we can stave off when they would actually be diagnosed or when they would see those symptoms. So if we look at this little chart here, somebody who has a high reserve, so this line, this bottom dotted line, illustrates when we're seeing Alzheimer's symptoms. So someone with a high reserve is going to see them much later in life. And what we can do for quality of life by starving off dementia is just phenomenal. All right, so how have you built up your cognitive reserve over time? Well, education. Studies have shown that people who have had less than 8 years of education are at a 2.2 times greater risk. We also have found that continual learning, specifically at work, so people who have low the more you have the ability to learn and really rationalize and think out new problems, decreases your chance significantly. So those people who have low lifetime learning, so they have a job that's much more repetitive, they're not learning new things, they have a 2.25 greater risk of getting dementia later on in life. So what if we do have a job that's not letting us learn new things and we don't have the higher education? Well, there are still things we can do to improve. A big one is social stimulation. So getting out of your comfort zone, getting out there, meeting new people, as well as mental stimulation. And I suspect that this is one of the places that you have been working on by doing those crosswords and doing those Sudoku. But unfortunately, the research is showing us that doing those crosswords and doing those Sudokus are not going to be pushing the envelope. So what does doing crosswords and doing Sudoku do? Well, it makes you better doing crosswords and Sudoku, but that doesn't show us full cognitive abilities. So we want to think about spatial learning, memory, short-term, long-term, the ability to form new memories, new ideas. And so with that, we need something that's more novel and complex. So what did push the envelope was Rise of Nations. So here the researchers took a group of elderly and they had them play Rise of Nations, much to the frustration of many of them. And what they found was this video game was the one that did the best. There's many strategies you have to be thinking of. There's often different times with different goals that have to be obtained. And so lots of novel pieces. And the researchers were so excited about these results that the next thing they're going to do is add in some kind of exercise. Because probably the biggest thing you can do to improve your memory overall is exercise and support your brain function. And I'm going to talk about that in another episode, so look for that. If you're interested in reading some of the studies that show that even learning a new language or a new musical instrument does not push the envelope, here's a study. It was in 2023. So quite surprising. I have to admit, I really thought that at least learning a new language would make some long-term benefit. But short-term benefit, yes. And you got to learn a new language, but does not carry over into different cognitive domains. And that wraps it up for today. So my name is Debbie Smers. Follow me, and I'd love to answer your questions.